Like one more minute. Yeah.
That might be all.
I should turn that off too. I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Kill Devil Hills Board of Commissioners. Welcome, welcome. Like to see a big crowd in the audience. I'd like to start things off by saying congratulations to our newly elected mayor, who will be taking the gavel here next month. Looking forward to that. And if you would, please stand and join me for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as we do at the beginning of every meeting, if you would, please join me in a moment of silence and think of all the folks who are having a rough time of it today. Thanks. Thank you so much. Board, we have an agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
All right, we have a motion. Is it, and a second from Ms. Ingram. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have an agenda. The first item on our agenda is a couple of public hearings. Our attorney is not feeling well, so we will make do. The first item is a zoning amendment request, 153.180D, commercial zone site requirements, an exception to a previously platted use as an exception to minimum lot size requirement.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. There are two public hearings this evening. The rule of procedure will apply for this first public hearing. The second public hearing was going to be a quasi judicial, and we'll have a little bit different set of rules for that. So we'll start with the first one. Public notice of the hearing was published in the newspaper and posted on the town bulletin boards and websites that meets or exceeds the statutory requirements for the subject matter. A copy of the public notice has been filed with the town clerk for entry into the official record of the hearing. The town clerk will record all comments in a concise and brief manner. Submitted written statements will be recorded in a similar manner and made a part of the record of each hearing and must be submitted in full to the clerk. All speakers must come to the microphone so that your statement will be recorded. Please identify yourself by giving your name and complete address. There will be no debate. Please limit your comments to matters relevant to the issue and to a 3-minute time period. A 5-minute exception will be made if there is a spokesperson for a group or if your statement is submitted in writing to the town clerk. The first public hearing will please come to order. This hearing is called for the purpose of the Kill Devil Hills Board of Commissioners to consider zoning amendment request 1531880D, commercial site zone requirements, exceptions, previously platted used as an exception to the minimum lot size requirements. We have no speakers that have signed up, Mr. Mayor, for that.
Yes.
Here to represent Right Shores.
All right, sir. You'll come to the podium and identify yourself, please.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, town staff. My name's Stuart Davis. I live at 702 West 5th Street. I'm the president of the Right Shores Association. I want to speak briefly how we got here with this zoning text amendment.
In 1970 and 73, the Wright Shores Development Company and Midtown Development developed Wright Shores 4th and 5th Street. Subsequently, they built, platted, and the Kill Devil Hills mayor signed off on 2 parking lots. Everybody knows the one on the end of 5th Street. It's a pork chop size parking lot. And we discovered that there's one on the Jolly Roger side, that 4th Street was never developed and came through like 5th Street does and crosses the highway because it was wetlands. There's also a 10-foot easement between 4th and 5th Street and 1910 Bay Drive. I contacted the Wright Shores Corporation. They were dissolving. As everybody's seen, the Wawa's being built on that piece of land, and then houses built adjacent to the Target. They still have the 75-year lease to Target. We hired counsel. We're deeded these properties. We're a nonprofit organization. We registered them with the county, and we took over those properties. I'm saying they're actually deeded to us. We created an association. We created a board. And did all the requirements. In that, we reached out to the town on different things, and we were not aware that we had to get a permit for 4th Street. And we pulled up bushes and we pulled up trash, hundreds of pounds of trash, over 100 cans where someone was feeding feral cats. Everybody's aware of the feral cat situation and the homeless and so forth. We thought we were cleaning up, doing the right thing. We got some bad advice. Once we did that, I went in and spoke to the planning board. It was not a pleasant conversation. It even got back to the mayor that it was something personal. It's nothing personal about this. I represent 327 homeowners, which is the largest footprint in Kill Devil Hills. We're your neighbor. We cleaned up the lot. For 50 years, that lot was an eyesore. I've been coming here to the beach since the late 60s. I'm a retired Marine. I'm a 100% disabled vet. I'm a homeowner here now. So I take pride in the community and what it stands for here. So we thought we were doing the wrong thing. We got bad advice. I'm not here to point fingers or say what happened, but we were fined. We jumped through the hoops, went overboard, and did what the town asked for. Those fines were waived, and we greatly appreciate that. So we had a meeting here on May 9th with Cameron Ray, and we discussed what we're trying to accomplish. So in essence, this, in a nutshell, this is it. In 1983, whoever rewrote the ordinances and variances for Kill Devil Hills, either erroneously, purposely, whatever it was, they left us out. They took the square footage from 7,500 to 15,000 square feet. We are the only existing property, 5th Street being 14,000 square feet, 4th Street being 12,500 square feet. We're the only properties that in 1970 and 73 obtained permits, were platted for 26 parking lots. So when I called the county, they said once it's platted, signed off for, whether it was developed or not, there's still parking lots. So that's how we recognize it as a parking lot. The town says it's different. I was told by the planning director that just because a piece of land, when you buy a piece of land and you call it an airport, it doesn't make it an airport. Well, the difference is this was signed off by the Kill Devil Hills mayor in 1973. It was plotted and platted. It was never developed. No one can tell me how that piece of pavement on 5th Street got there. Was it permitted? Who put it there? Nobody can tell me. They also contend that on 4th Street, that everybody calls it the cut through. Everybody's parked there for years. I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands of people. I parked there. My kids parked there. It belongs to the town. It's been private property since 1970 and 73. It belonged to the Wright Shores Corporation in Midtown Development. It was known as common property for the homeowners. It was just never been regulated. The only difference now is it's being regulated. We contacted the town, we contacted the fire department, we contacted the police department, we contacted the realtors, we contacted everybody. We put it in the newspaper. Hey, this is going to be regulated now. You're going to be towed. We don't want to tow people, but you have to change the atmosphere that now it's going to be regulated. The purpose of it was for our homeowners. That's all we're asking to do. So we
Davis, you need to wrap up your comments, please.
Okay, we just had to do our due diligence. So we had a meeting and we were told to submit this ZTA because we didn't qualify for a variance. They said it was 4 qualifications for a variance to submit this ZTA. Now we're being told that the ZTA is not proper, that we should go the variance route. All we're trying to do is be allowed to do improvements on our property and get it back. We're the only ones in that category, whatever language needs to be done, so we're able to improve, because we've had numerous incidents of vandalism, and we have a liability problem. Someone comes out of the Jolly Roger at night, trips and falls on our land. Now that we're regulating it, we're liable. So 2 incidents, we're trying to stop the vandalism, and we're trying to stop the liability for these 2 lots. So we're just trying to do the right thing and find out what the process. The town is the one that recommended to us this ZTA process. Now they're saying that's not the proper thing. So if you're going to deny it, that's fine. What we ask is if you waive our $500 and put it toward the variance, and we'll go that route. But we're following the instruction from the town.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing no one, Mr. Mayor, we'll close the public hearing.
All right, so public hearing is closed. Board, you've read the excuse me, the memos on this and the staff report. You've seen that the planning board reviewed this a couple months ago and recommended denial. Staff also recommends denial. It sounds like to me that this is one of those situations where hindsight's always 20/20. Tell staff, tell me if I have this correct, that rules change all the time, have changed for ever since the town's been a town. And if you have a plan to develop something on your property, build a house, business, whatever it is, if that's approved, you've got 2 years to build it. After that, all bets are off. You got to start over. Is that a fair way to describe
I
that?
think it's 1 year.
It's 1 year.
1 year,
When
okay.
it comes to subdivisions and uses and incorporated with a subdivision, it is 2 years.
Okay. Mixing those.
But for site plan review for permitted uses in the town of Kettle Hills, it's 1 year from approval date.
Right. And so for the benefit of the public that's listening and maybe doesn't understand all the details, just wanted everybody to kind of get a more rounded view of it, because we haven't really given a presentation about all the things that we've seen that, got us to this point. But that rule that was mentioned in 83 was to increase the size of the minimum lot size from 7,500 to 15,000. Those rules have gone in both directions in a variety of times, but that's not something you can turn on a dime. I want to give the board a chance to weigh in, but I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a high level there before we got into it. John, you have any thoughts?
I was just going to ask staff if they could describe the difference between applying for a ZTA versus a variance, if it's not apples to apples, so to speak. Different whole process, different whole approval route.
Absolutely. So what you're seeing tonight is a zoning text amendment that applies to the entire town of Kettle Hills, or at least in this section is the entire commercial zoning district. That's for any lot that was platted prior to 1983. So it's a townwide amendment. When you're looking at a variance, it is a site-specific request showing that you have a unique hardship and that this is not an ordinary request because it can't meet the rules, or there's a hardship. Hardship can be a lot of different things, but so you're asking for a relief from the rules because those rules make it, in this situation, maybe impossible to have a parking lot on this lot, and it's the only right use for it. Zoning text amendments can be narrowly written to where it doesn't it's not very wide, and they can also be very broad. Like retail stores are allowed in its entire commercial zoning district. So it's all in what you're right. And words are very important when it comes to a zoning ordinance. Board of Commissioners is who's going to look at a zoning text amendment versus a variance will be looked at by the Zoning Board of Adjustments. And any questions about the difference, we'd be happy to.
Yeah, and a variance runs with that specific piece of land in perpetuity. So when a variance is granted for relief from a specific section of the zoning ordinance, which is what a variance is for, to allow for development of a piece of property, it runs with the land, not the ownership. A zoning text amendment runs with the entire town, and it becomes part of all property that meets that criteria. So this is site specific and in perpetuity, and it's a legal document. It is a quasi judicial. It's a legal determination created by the Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Thank you.
Well, I think that John brings up a good point in trying to call attention to the idea of the hardship. That is why we have variance as an opportunity, without necessarily getting into why we didn't steer them in that direction in the first place. I wanted to know if the staff had any comments about the request about applying the fee towards the other process.
It's a non-refundable fee. That's how it's written on our in our ordinance,
Okay,
budget ordinance.
just wanted to clarify that.
Do we have authority to even modify that in any way?
I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not sure exactly how you would go back and modify the budget
Right.
ordinance to take that out for this one.
Right. It's
Situation.
more of a management issue, not a commissioner's issue.
And the reason for the fee is it's already gone through the staff to the
We
Planning
spent the money,
board
did
to
the
the-
work, yeah.
Board of Commissioners.
Just wanted to explore that fully.
Yeah.
Want to give the other commissioners opportunity?
My biggest concern with it was the fact that this would apply to every commercial zone. And, I've got a big problem with that. Other than that,
Right, yeah. It was very well intentioned and it's served us well since the 80s. The
Yep.
minimum lot size that we have for that zone.
Yeah, I'm with Terry on that. Is there, Meredith, can you clarify where did the recommendation come in, or is that to which one to do, or is?
I can speak. I mean,
Yeah.
it was my meeting.
Yeah.
And going back and get some of the history of it,
Yeah.
we're working backwards here.
Right.
We had a property in violation that staff met with them to, how can we help you move forward with this? What are the options? The option obviously was to come into compliance with what the rules are today, because that's what our job is to enforce. And it was given an option that you can either submit for a text amendment or you can submit for a variance.
Okay.
This is the path that they chose, and the zoning text amendment, that is what guided us to
So
make
I
the
just wanted
comments
to
that we
clarify
did.
that you all gave the two options, and one of the options
Yeah.
was chosen.
That is correct.
Thank you.
The variance seems like it has lots of possibility.
Yeah, I mean, variances in the state of North Carolina are hard to get. You've got to have evidence to show why you are unique. That was explained, but there was options given.
Thank you.
Variances do happen for lots of reasons, but usually things that when rules change and challenging situations arise out of that, unintended consequences. One more chance for discussion. Other than that, I'm looking for.
Well, let me ask, so not refunding, obviously the 500, but waiving the fee for the variance application, is that possible?
No, I don't think so. That's not how your ordinance reads.
Okay.
And you've had other situations where people
Right.
applied for a zoning amendment that did not get approved.
Mhm.
And you did, we don't refund that.
Yes, no, I was just wondering
And-
if they were relying on bad advice or whatnot. I don't know. They were given the option of two and one was not really an option. I was just
It
wondering
was an option, but it wasn't an option
that would pass, yeah.
that was most likely going to pass.
Okay.
But as Cameron said, we're working backwards. That we were dealing with properties that were in violation. We were trying to get beyond that. there was more than just trash picked up and
Right, yeah.
weeds pulled.
Gravel, some other things, yeah.
It just seems like one wasn't an option really at all. I mean, knowing that we weren't going to change that. But anyway, that's all.
All right, so we're looking for a motion. Once again, I'm reminding you that the planning board unanimously recommended denial. Staff also recommends denial.
I'll make a motion to deny the zoning amendment request 153.180D commercial zone site requirements.
We have a motion on the floor from Ms. Ingram.
Second.
And a second. Mr. Gray, any further discussion?
Just real quick, Mr. Davis did mention that the town did work with and kind of forgive some of the fines that Right Shores had
That's true.
accumulated. So we may not have flexibility with this application fee, but the town has been supportive and, collaborative in that nature.
It's good to remind everybody of that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Thank you. The second public hearing will please come to order. The same rules of procedure apply as the first. However, also, this hearing is a quasi-judicial in nature. Only evidence of a fact-based nature will be permitted. All those providing evidence will be sworn in by the town clerk. If you are giving testimony, please approach the town clerk's desk for your oath. Meredith, would that be you or Cameron? Both? And Mr. Robinson, thank you. The reason for this, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, is Bermuda Bay is a PUD, which they're asking for an amended site plan for a covered pavilion with a storage. Because it is a planned unit development and a special use in the government and institutional zone, the public hearing is a part of the board's consideration. Let's see, who's we done back there? Mayor Sproul, do you accept into evidence the meeting materials, including the commercial site plan application, the owner's authorization, and the accompanying plans?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Robbins, do you have a statement that you'd like to make?
No, I'm just here to answer questions.
Okay.
Anything comes up.
All right, so this one has to do with the covered pavilion in the storage room. We've seen the notes there. So will there be sworn testimony then or no?
Not unless the board has any questions of the
Oh,
staff.
okay, we're just
The
sort of,
site plan meets the ordinance.
Right.
The planning board did review it on the 19th of September and forwarded it to the board recommending approval.
all right. So any questions for staff?
No.
No? Good. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the special use site plan review Bermuda Bay UD section 200A.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second that
We
motion.
got a second from Commissioner Winley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Right, and that closes our second public hearing.
Yes.
We'll move on to another item. It's called a public comment. This applies to everybody in the room. Anybody who would like to have something, has something to say about the future of the town or anything at all, really. We have two public comment periods every meeting, here at the beginning and once at the end. Bigger discussions in the spring and fall every year, but this is me really taking up time, letting you think about what you might want to say. All you got to do is approach the podium there, tell us your name and where you live, and got to keep it to 3 minutes unless you're representing a group, then you have 5 minutes.
No signups, Mr. Mayor.
Nobody's signing up. I see somebody with a finger up. Yes, please.
not sure whether first or last is good or bad.
All good, all good.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Pohl. I'm a homeowner in Wright Shores, Kill Devil Hills, of course. Last meeting, which was a lot less people, we had discussion about the beach accesses at 4th Street and 5th Street. And I've been notified I have a limited time to say what I want to say. So I do have further information. I've got a hard copy and I've also got a PDF if anybody's interested in seeing more depth in what I'm saying. The town of KDH issued an Instagram in March of 2023. And it says briefly, the access will be open and sand access for the near future, as the town seeks grant funding for replacement. And that was in March. This is November. From the meeting last month, I got the feeling that it has not progressed. So I'm hoping that there is progression in that area. I've worked out a few of my own, what I thought were solutions, and they're in the file and everything, but I've got pictures, but I don't have time to show them to you. One, replace the walkway to the dune on 4th Street. Second, replace the walkway and do a flyover over the dune, which Kill Devil Hills does most of their accesses now anyway. Option number 3, asphalt part of it and make limited parking. Option number 4, asphalt to the dune, allowing limited parking with a flyover dune to the beach. The next item is porta potties. There was some discussion at the last meeting on is it feasible for porta potties? I met with the owner of Atlantic OBX, who provides the porta potties to Kill Devil Hills, Kitty Hawk, Nag's Head. And we went to 4th and 5th Street. I asked him after we had that meeting what his thoughts were, and this is what he said to me. This is Brian Lincoln, owner of Atlantic OBX Incorporated. Met Dennis, that's me, on site today at Beach Accesses 4th and 5th Street. We can easily service these pots at the places Dennis and I spoke about placing them. We recommend twice a week cleaning at Beach Access due to high volume. And I've got pictures of that, of what we talked about for the placement. The last thing, and I've got pictures of that also, but rinse off showers. I call them rinse off because that's what they're basically for, is for rinsing yourself off from the beach. In addition to no porta potties at 4th and 5th Street, there's no showers at 4th and 5th Street. And it's kind of twofold. Number one, I would hope that the town would see fit to put showers at 4th and 5th Street. And I would hope that they would explore, which we discussed last meeting, the possibility of showers, either modifications of the ones that we have now, or at least trying them out. Maybe 4th and 5th Street. You put your hand on, you get water. You take your hand off, you don't get water. All of you have gone to the beach. How many times do you see the shower facilities either still running, partially running, missing shower heads and whatever? So I hope they would explore that.
Dennis, you need to.
Yeah, in summation.
A little time there.
1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, well, they have porta potties and showers. And it's time that the homeowners and visitors have those amenities at 4th and 5th Street beach accesses. Thanks for your consideration of the matter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Would anyone else like to speak? All right. Going once, going twice. We will close public comment. Response to public comment. We really appreciate citizens when they come and take that time to do all that homework and help us make decisions. I'm sure this board will be working hard at the 2024-25 budget leading up to this spring. So it's always good to have that information. Anybody else respond to public comment?
I just following up with our last meeting. I know you had a rough timeline for a shoreline access plan that staff's working on.
Yes.
Can you refresh the group on that?
It'll be in late spring, and our Buildings and Ground has already started doing the legwork, which is the inventory, existing site features, existing conditions of those site features, so that we can give you a comprehensive look at what we have. And then we will take that information and also try to determine improvements that can happen at each access. And then the board would have that to work for through the grant process. And the next grant process is in fall of 2024.
All right. And I'll thank you, Dennis, for such a prepared report. And for, I've never had somebody advocate so hard for porta potties before. So thank you, sir.
And I think that's where we pretty much had discussed at the last meeting that the shoreline access plan and so forth would, address that.
Yep,
So
certainly has
it's
been.
definitely on the radar.
Yeah, for folks who don't come to all our meetings, we've been talking about this for many years.
Yeah.
And COVID kind of put a lot of things on the back burner that I know this board is excited to get back to a lot of those priorities that we had put out in our bigger visions and plans over the last few years. Moving on, our next items are introductions and presentations. The first is the North Carolina League of Municipalities commemorative resolutions. Come up there. Need that.
In microphone.
This microphone, try to record this sort of thing. So we're out here, of course, we consider our greatest asset in the town is our staff. They're the folks that make everything happen. And it's really amazing. We have 123 full-time and 65 seasonal folks that take care of all the business of the town. And they make a difference every single day. And of our lives, our businesses, our properties, our property owners, our visitors. Sorry. They keep us safe. They manage the town's finances. They provide us recreational opportunities, wonderful events. They maintain our streets, keep our community clean, and provide us safe water, just to name a few of the things that they do. At the recent 2023 North Carolina League of Municipalities Conference, commemorative resolutions were adopted honoring the service of municipal public servants here in Killable Hills and across the state. Included in the retirement resolutions were the following town employees. So that when I call your name, please come up so I can present you with this resolution in your honor. The first one is Marion Henry A.B. Donsky, our water plant operator. He's not able to make it. Okay. The next one is, am I saying that right? Golette Jeanette Jr. He's sanitation equipment operator. Not making it either, but we appreciate their service. Next is Beverly Kissinger, our finance director. This way. Next is Police Sergeant Durwood Lee Twitty Jr.
Smile.
Thank you so much. And finally, Joseph Michael Mike Wilson, sanitation team leader. Thank you so much. Now, at the same conference, a memorial resolution was adopted to honor our longtime dedicated public servant in our KDH family. She was a force of nature, and her former colleagues strive every day to keep the guiding light of her service in our community. Of course, I'm talking about Mary Elizabeth Quigley, our town clerk. So, a round of applause. Right, and I understand that Mary's sister Carol is able to come accept this in her honor. Would you like to come take a picture? I'm so sorry. Please. Thank you. Oh, goodness. Mary's always keeping an eye on us. You just feel it.
More than you know.
So the next item is Community Parents Awards, which you see up here on the table. This is one of the most exciting moments of the year because no one knows who actually won yet. So I guess we will get into that. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, sure. You were taking the lead or me? Yeah, all right. So official signature. So just a little soft lead into this. This is the Community Appearance Awards, for those of you who might not be familiar. The Administration Department has a meeting that details goals and processes by which we choose the Community Parents Commission, and those folks establish recognition in these biennial Community Parents Awards. So we'll have the three awards that you see up here are Most Improved, Multi-Unit Complex, and Best Overall. So kind of different ways you can win. Most Improved is an exciting one because you can come from behind and really make a mark on the town when folks take over a new spot. So the nominees are Avalon Pier, Outer Banks Motor Lodge, Starbucks, Target, and John Yancey's Oceanfront Inn.
Would you like to write them out?
Oh, you want everybody to come up?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Let's have everybody, anybody who represents any of those folks come up here, and then we'll have a big drum roll to make a big reveal. I'm not sure if everybody made it out, but. Drum roll, you know what I don't know. Oh, wait, it's on the second page?
I'll hand these to you then.
Let's just hand it to them. They don't know who it is.
That's the Avalon Pier. These are the folks who've been nominated.
Oh, we're giving awards for all the nominations as well.
Yes, and then you'll announce from those with that group of nominations, the winner of that group.
We should have had a dress rehearsal. So, Avalon Pier. Somebody get around that?
I'm just.
Trustee Target.
We'll keep it, we'll get it to them.
Okay. There you go. Thank you so much for the nomination. Starbucks, I guess we don't have anybody representing Starbucks here today, but we're looking at it. There's Target, I recognize the jacket. Anybody from John Yancey? They're also looking great, we'll save that for them. Am I supposed to have the winner? You came to the wrong thing. I'm going.
you gonna announce it?
Yes. Did I leave it over there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The envelope, please.
Well, Bertie whispered in my ear the answer. Did I reveal it? Okay. A big round of applause for Starbucks as our winner.
Thank you for coming. Good to see you.
So this next group is multi-unit complex, so if you're a strip mall, this gives you an opportunity. Kind of hard to go up against Cardinals of the world if you're a strip mall, so this is something for them. The first nominee in multi-unit is Atlantic Dance. Anybody here from Atlantic Dance? Well, round of applause for them. And the next is the Beach Road Bottle Shop. Love those guys. Anybody hear from them? There, they would be great. Our next nominee is Hang 12 Art. All these nominees showed up. We'd have standing room only. The next nominee is Honey and Hive Boutique. Celebrate all these people have been nominated, doing a great job. They're all, I've been here a couple of times. Proof Bakery. Everybody from Proof Bakery. Our last nominee for the multi-unit is the Sun Shack Tanning Salon. And the winner is, nobody was, is anybody? We figured it out.
Where's Michael?
Go.
Michael's appointment, nobody knows.
Big round of applause for Honey and Hive.
And many thanks to the Vice Chair of the Community Appearance Commission, Ms. Melinda Bogowski.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we got one more set. This
Best overall.
best overall is a big prize. The first nominee is Nag's Head Hammocks. And it's looking good over there. Nominee is Noosa Beach Grill, also always looking great over there. Best overall, the next one is Outer Banks Presbyterian Church. We also have the nominee of Pigman's Barbecue. They put out a lot of flowers every year. Well, thank you for coming. And one more nominee. The last nominee is Rose Harrison Gilreath and Powers PC. Another beautiful. And here's the secret envelope, please. Envelope. The accounting firm running the show. They're all still up. These secret ballots. Runner up. The winner is Rose Harrison Gilreath and Powers. There you are. Lots of good stuff to get to these folks later. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
These are pigments.
Yeah, yeah.
You winner my hard top.
Everybody gets the ones that they weren't here to get.
So just to let all you guys know, Sue Kelly, of course, runs the show with the Community Appearance Commission, been doing a great job with it for years, but I did want to recognize the other members of that committee for their hard work and dedication. If any of them are here, please stand when I call your name. Jennifer Albanese, Billy Dorn, Melinda Rogalski. There you go. Thank you so much. Dave Rollins, Joe Williams, John Winley, the man, the myth, the legend. New and the new members, Tyree Neal and Nancy Reschenbach. Reschenbach? There she is. Yes. Thank you so much for serving. I just saw down at the bottom of the paper, Sue Kelly, you've been doing this for a decade now?
I believe that's how old we are.
We are getting up there. Well, thank you so much for keeping our town beautiful and inspiring everybody to do such great work. It's a wonderful thing that you do. And thanks to your whole committee. So share that
Thank you.
from the whole board.
Thank you for your support. And John Whitney.
Thank you.
And John, yeah, Don does a great job of keeping us posted, even when you're out here. He's always keeping us posted. Well, that was fun. And John, my recommendation as outgoing mayor is rehearse more than I do. Let's see, where are we? Any ongoing business?
No, sir.
All right, moving on to new business. We have considerations for additional landscape and buffer requirements for commercial uses. There's some notes in our packets, but I think the goal here is to have a little more discussion about kind of what direction we'd like to send staff. That fair to say?
Yeah, I'd be happy to give you
Give a little rundown.
the notes on it. So yeah, going back to a previous discussion when we were looking at our landscaping and buffer requirements for commercial uses, and we were primarily talking about between incompatible uses. So say a single family and a gas station, or a single family and a retail store that's 24 hours, or a restaurant. We do already have rules and regulations in place for these, but that was the conversation that we were talking about it. The current ordinance, when it was adopted, the intentions are to provide separation of uses, promote aesthetic character, promote public health and safety through the reduction of noise, air, and visual pollution. Right now, the town regulations for this type of incompatible use buffer is screening at the property line. That screening can either be a dense vegetative screen, or it can be a 6-foot fence with landscaping on the outside. Additionally, the buffer has to be a depth of 5 feet along property lines and 10 feet along property lines that abut streets. Several of the concerns that previously came up with these regulations that they don't necessarily address commercial uses with greater intensity, like we were saying, maybe 24-hour places or restaurants that have noise, and also is fencing material. But primarily the concern was that these regulations did not address more intense uses, nor require enough of a buffer from adjacent uses or adjacent properties. So we came up with just a couple of ballpark ideas of things that could address some of these issues and be added to our existing zoning ordinance. And we'll go through those, and then we could open it up for some general discussion, and then we could take something back to the planning board, or if we're still very general, we could bring it back for further. But this is what we kind of came up with for some of the things we could do. You could increase the minimum buffer depth. Some may not think 5 feet is really enough of an area if you're talking between an intensive.
Yes. Stop. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Alarm of some sort.
This depth could vary based off of off what the use is or how big the use is, and like from a density standpoint, like it could be a larger buffer if the floor area ratio is greater. So looking at increasing buffer depth, we can go ahead and address that concern from the fencing material, that don't just leave it as open as fencing, but actually choose what kind of fencing you want to see. We've had good situations with vinyl or type of fencing, but it's also during a wind event, it's the first thing you see usually blowing around, and that may not be the best buffer either. That could be a mess. So looking at something to go ahead and codify it for wood block, engineered sound wall, whatever you guys are really thinking. And then we were also looking at, you could create an additional buffer requirement for commercial developments abutting the RL zone. So we've talked about this in the past too, that we have a really hard line from zoning district from commercial zone to residential low zone. We have lots of single family dwellings that are built in the commercial zone, but homes in the residential low zone they never expected to maybe have, or that neighbor being in that zoning district, they saw what the uses were. But you also could have an extra layer of buffering for that adjacent use being an actual zoning district line. So,
And I'm gonna add to it just a little bit, just to clarify. The first bullet is basically looking at the uses, and creating a scale of intensity of use abutting a residence, being an existing residence, not someone that builds a residence after it's there, but so that's kind of the first bullet. And then if you go to the third bullet, this is more of an or. It doesn't deal with the intensity of a use. It simply blanketly makes the buffer between RL and commercial greater, or a more intense buffer. A lot of the comments we got during the discussion that this has gone around was, well, Lowe's and Targets have the big engineered walls. I don't know that kind of intense buffer is actually the most appealing in our town. They did that because they agreed to it, not because we required it or could require it. So when the last site plan came in, that there was a lot of discussion about it. We couldn't require that type of buffer. And I don't know that that's exactly where the board wants to go. I believe I heard more block wood, not vinyl. But so the first one and the third one, I think that maybe you want to look at that and decide if you want to go with the use and existing, adjacent properties, or if you want to look at the entire zone. So just trying to give you an either or, and not, we can do both, but we're going to create a tremendous amount of nonconformities by doing both.
Yeah. Does anybody want to jump in and get it started?
I'm thinking about depth, and I'm thinking that the issue really is the height. Because when you look at, for example, residential low up to Wawa, a 6-foot fence isn't a lot. No. So I think with the intensity, if we could figure out a way to, with more intensity of the development, come up with a higher fence, maybe an 8-foot fence or something to that effect, that might be beneficial. Because I know 6 foot's just not much.
and I'll add one more layer to it, is like when you also look at a development, the buffer depth is what is the setback for things like parking.
Right.
So buffer depth isn't only your buffer of landscaping or fencing, but it's also how close can a parking space or a drive aisle be to someone else's property.
Right.
So I think that came up as well, that may be something that a neighboring property didn't like. So
Well, I'm not opposed to looking at the depth part of it.
right, I was just saying, I just wanted to make sure that's also a part of that buffer depth, is not necessarily just green space, but it works as our big setback
Right.
for parking and drive aisles mostly.
I just think a 6-foot fence doesn't do a lot when you're talking about a real intense situation.
For sure.
But if I hear you, the corollary of what you're saying is that, having a big 6-foot fence might not be what we want to see at a paint store that's only open 9 to 5. You have a big fence, not really necessary in that case.
Well, I don't consider a 6-foot fence a big fence.
Oh, yeah.
No.
But what I'm saying is I don't think a 6-foot fence, when you put it up beside something like a Wawa,
Sure.
I don't think it has any, it's not going to have any bearing really.
Yeah,
I think you need something bigger.
I agree with Commissioner Gray. The height of the fence is important, but also it would be kind of strange to require it across the board. The 24-hour, like the Wawa, for instance, and I'm trying to think what else is 24 hours in Kildare Hills. Not much, right? If anything, is there anything else?
Supermarkets.
Supermarket. Oh, some of the supermarkets and the some.
Scourge.
Sometimes Walgreens in the summer. Used to be.
Don't look at me for that.
But there's a distinct difference between a restaurant and a dentist office.
Right,
And they're
right.
both in the commercial zone. They're both considered commercial and their intensity is different. And that's kind of where we were
Yeah.
driving the intensity.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
a 6-foot fence might be more than adequate for a dentist office.
Oh, 100%.
Right, right.
100%.
I agree with that.
We don't
I
want
agree with
walls
that.
behind every business abutting a residential zone. So I don't think so. But I think we do want walls, significant walls behind something like a Wawa
Or
in the
Lowe's
future,
or,
or something like a restaurant for sure. If we can, I mean,
So yeah, if I'm
a
hearing.
restaurant's different too though because they're not obviously open 24 hours usually, and they're
Let's
you
say
know.
we're
I
open
don't know what the formula is. That's
How
what
do you
you guys are
decide?
gonna have to figure
Well,
out.
You can lump similar intensive. You can start at saying most intensive to least intensive,
yeah.
and you can lump those into like this is buffer type 1. It's the least intense. Buffer type 2. We can do things
Just
like
break down.
It
the
would be a
different-
gradual scale.
it'd be a gradual
And
scale.
we have a list of things in commercial. It's got to be one of these X number of things, right? So you can-
What do you mean, like
Group them.
type of commercial? Like
Like you would say something like an office or a office building or a medical facility that's a regular medical facility, not emergency, not the 24-hour, would be in level 1, and that would have the buffers that we have in place right this minute.
a gas station,
And then-
a box
Right.
store,
And then the next one would be
yeah. Mhm.
That'd be like your low
maybe
end.
a drive-through restaurant, and then
Mhm.
a restaurant with, a nightclub or a bar, and then 24-hour businesses or businesses that have deliveries 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean we have warehouses in town. We have light manufacturing. That's probably on your higher side of things too because they can abut other things.
The only thing was, I guess, we don't want to create unsightly walls everywhere.
Right.
And
Agreed.
that's a we definitely have in our ordinance, especially in the commercial zone, our commercial building exterior, and there's material requirements, and there was a look that was desired when that was written. You don't really notice it at Lowe's and Publix because the building's just that large.
Right.
But
Right.
at this Publix, you would see probably the wall first.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
I mean, the Wawa.
Wawa. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
You
Right,
would,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
I get your point there too.
So the Wawa is not as high as the
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's not as wide.
wide.
So you're going to be able to see on either side of it when you look at the Publix and Lowe's because of the way they're set back
Mhm.
and their parking lots are in front. The depth from the bypass makes it very difficult to catch those angles of the 15-foot
Yeah.
engineered sound wall behind it. But their neighbors appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
And if you go behind them now that those businesses have been there a while, particularly Lowe's, there's a lot of green
Vegetation.
Right.
but
How does
The
this work?
vegetated buffer is also required behind the fence.
correct.
How does this work going forward? I mean, it's all new development. It would be all new development. Would everybody else grandfathered in? Is that how it works?
Change of
They would
use
be they
wouldn't
would become non-conforming.
But if you changed use, if you had like an office and you turned it into something else,
restaurant.
you'd have to bring it up. to
Correct.
But you're only dealing with where you have a residential area abutting a
It
commercial
depends on
area,
if y'all want to do it against an RL or against an existing
Different.
residential use. So it would be
Yeah, Lowe's beside Publix, we have landscaping requirements between the two of them, but it's not a tremendous amount of landscaping.
Right.
It's more to make it look nice. Then you have incompatible uses behind them, being single family residential. That's really the buffer we're talking about that
Right.
this discussion has come up.
is where you abut that.
It's
Different
it's
zones,
your it's your incompatible uses that are next to each other, being like a grocery store or a 24-hour gas station next to a
It's
single
not
family.
blanket across every zone.
but there's incompatible uses that are also across zoning districts. We don't intend, unless the board tells us, to create these exponential or graduated buffers within the commercial zone for people who've
Right.
chosen to build residential within a commercial zone. It would
Correct.
be
It's only by
commercial
design.
that's abutting a resident in a residential zone.
Existing
Right.
resident. So
It depends on how you do it.
Oh,
You can make it all of RL.
yeah.
I think
that
that
abuts.
if I could summarize that, if I'm hearing you guys correctly, that we're kind of honing in on two themes here. One is that we throw around the term incompatible uses, but it's not really ever been defined. I think what seem to be coming towards is whenever it's commercial in RL,
Correct.
that's the delineation that we're trying to improve buffers. And then we're also excited about your idea of a graduated scale. So
Right.
if I'm summarizing this correctly, send staff to make a proposal about graduated scale, that would apply at anytime that there's a property line that delineates between commercial and residential.
So basically, depth doesn't matter as much to us, just the height of these walls.
No, we would be
Depth has
increasing,
value.
the graduated scale would increase depth, and what you've told us tonight gave us direction that we would also increase height with an increased depth.
And
The-
make,
the-
and
Yeah,
make,
the depth has
maybe-
value, yeah.
and also the make
Materials.
of the materials of the fence.
The materials, I think we
That's-
got very clear from you before that
Upgraded a little.
vinyl is not gonna be acceptable in any situation
No.
anymore.
But what
No.
kind of wood? Like even wood? What would that be? Like I mean, slatted wood. It could be.
We've seen like a shadow box style wooden fence in the past, where it's
Do-
board on the inside, board on the outside, so it lets wind through better. But it'd be a solid fence.
And that would be for the lower res, and then we'll do something more substantial for the higher intensity. Yeah. Is that kind of what you're
A
doing?
more substantial material for the box store or the
I don't-
24-hour gas station.
I don't know
something.
that the materials would
wood.
change, but the height would change. and
Well,
wood would
yeah, the
become
height.
I mean, do
impractical
we
at some
know
point.
what's best for? Do you guys know what's best for
Yeah, I
sound?
mean, as soon as you start going up much more than 8 feet, wood isn't really going to be the best product out there
Correct.
because you don't really see many large engineered sound walls that are wood.
They have to be engineered after a certain height.
Oh, okay.
You're spending that much money, you want something that's going to last.
Yeah, and that too.
That it can handle the wind loads too, if you're an engineer, right?
But there's certainly, I mean, like what we're talking is that right now the regulations have the same buffer from the small paint store to the massive supermarket. And that's where we're trying to bridge the gap and say maybe it's something graduated to address big stores and also more intensive 24-hour stores in that nature.
Because right now we have almost nothing. We have just vegetation. That's
Vegetation and
Or
fence.
fan.
Yeah,
That's
All
nothing.
6 foot fence.
right, so I think, how you guys have wondering much, do you feel like we've given the staff enough direction?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm kind of curious to see how the intensity scale is determined.
Mhm.
Yeah, Still discuss it after that.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
a lot of it
How you define
work
it?
and research to go into that, but I'm on board with what's being discussed.
Is the board comfortable with us creating it and taking it to the planning board, or would you
Yes.
like us to
Yes.
create it and bring it back to you prior to going to the planning board?
I'd like to see it go to the planning board because,
Okay.
I'm
yeah,
fine with that
Thank you.
too. Let's
Yeah,
move it along.
yeah, consult along the way.
yeah, we've got some
Run it
some
by
great
everybody.
people there.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the guys who should really weigh in it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right, well, we will wrap up new business item number 1 and move on to number 2, which is a site plan for 901 10th Avenue in the light industrial 2 zone. It's a proposed multifamily apartment building, associated site improvements.
Yes, sir. This is 33-unit multifamily consisting of 27 two-bedrooms, 6 three-bedrooms, 75 parking spaces, and associate site improvements. Planning department memos and site plans all attached. At the September 19th meeting, the planning board voted approval, recommended approval to forward this to the Board of Commissioners, recommending several conditions which have been addressed, and staff recommends approval of the site plan as presented. And Mr. Robbins is here if you have any questions.
Oh, there it is. All right, we've got our engineer up here to take your questions. Any questions?
I do not.
I have a quick question. So the corner of 10th and Corrigan, there will be a stop sign there. That was in the notes somewhere.
I think it's probably, well, I don't know, but we could certainly add a stop sign there if there's not one already. There may already be one there.
Yeah, I
It's just the L part.
don't know. Yeah. It's just a
There
tight
probably
area back
isn't
there.
one because it's not
I don't
really.
think there is.
the
I'm
kind of
pretty sure,
place you
I'm
would make a
almost certain
stop.
there's
Yeah,
not.
Right.
I
It's considered
parked
kind of
across from
intrusive.
there a lot when I took kids to run him.
Gotcha.
I don't think there is one there. And I'm just thinking with that many cars coming and going, I don't know. But I think it's in the note. I'm pretty sure it's in the notes to have one in.
I'm
that
not sure it
one
is,
would be in.
but we can certainly put it in there. So.
And we can review it, and if that's necessary to be added, then it would be added to your official traffic map that you would
Mhm.
adopt. So we
We
can
can
look
do that
into that.
independent because it's a town street.
That was just my thought on that.
Hmm.
That was,
With PD? Let us review it.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
It's certainly an efficient use of the space. So it's good to see what you can do on a site like that. They're looking intently at their papers. I don't know if that means there's a question.
No question.
That was
Not
the only question I
necessarily.
had.
All right. Well, I for one am excited to see some multifamily in that space. You know, it's zoned for it. It's why we have that area. It backs up to some woods. Not very many neighbors to be upset that it's in their neighborhood. So it's a good spot. So excited to see that happening. But looking for a motion.
I got a question. It's really, I don't know if the engineer's the right person to ask, but would these units be strictly put up for sale, or would any of them be considered for a long-term rental? I guess the owner is the one who really should answer that.
Yeah, he's kind of waffle. He's sort of going back and forth on how he's going to convey these. Whether I know he's planning on holding on to a bunch of them. I think they will. I think it's going to be a mix. I think it's going to be. I don't think he's shooting for short-term rentals. Like Airbnb style rentals. I don't think that's even going to be an option back there. But I think his idea is to put them out for long-term rentals primarily, and owner occupied. So
Nice.
It's good to hear that.
Yeah, that far away from the ocean and the sound, it's the exact right spot for something like that. Yeah. Super.
And at one time, there was a little bit of a concern of stormwater.
Mhm.
And that's been addressed as far as having a inverted flow line, a valley type. In other words, we're not gonna have water running off this site out onto the street, are we?
Oh, no, we've taken care of that. I have a very detailed stormwater plan, and it's been reviewed by Derek and Pete, and I think they're both
Okay.
very comfortable.
Yeah, I know they were concerned at one time during the review process.
Yeah, it was these things that evolve as you're developing a plan like this. They were talking about some valley gutters or some valley valleys at the roadway connections, which we incorporated into the grading plan. for the
Okay,
stormwater plan.
good. I thought it was a very good plan.
Yeah.
Looked good to me.
One of our best zoning things is requiring the 10-year 2-hour storm to be contained on the site.
Oh, and we're well
Way
over
over
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So always good to have extra volume capacity.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan as presented.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Ingram. Is there a
Second.
second? We got a second from Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next site plan review is 1208 Swan Street in the light industrial 2 zone. That's a 5-unit multifamily townhouse and associated site improvements.
Yes, sir. And the planning board recommended at their October 17th meeting to forward the site plan to the Board of Commissioners, recommending approval pending several conditions which have been addressed, and staff recommends approval of the site plan as presented.
All right. One more chance for
Any
questions
questions?
about it?
Anybody?
No, I don't, no, I'm just,
Has the additional survey been conducted? And they noted like that it would be conducted. Just curious.
Hey, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Michael Strader, Engineering Quality Associates, Civil Engineer of Record. And yes, all that additional survey was accumulated. We updated the plans, and that is the plan set that you're looking at.
Oh, okay, okay.
Already happened.
Yeah, got it.
All right. Feeling good about it?
Yep. Motion to approve the 1208 Swan Street site plans as presented.
We have a motion on the floor, Mr. McAvoy, and a second from Mr. Winley.
I'll second. Sad to see Delbert Place go, but that's good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's having opinions up in the sky. But yeah, good, beautiful piece of property right there. So we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Maybe we'll
Thank
be up for most improved.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoe in there.
There you go. That's nicely done.
That's the truth.
That's a good joke to walk out
Yeah.
on.
That was quality. I gotta give style points for that one.
Yeah.
All right. So, planning board appointment. Too many things in front of me.
Yeah.
So I thought we already talked about Dylan. Did we already take care of that? All right, so we need to make it official. That's what it was. I remember. So who would like to do the honors?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Dylan Hikins.
second.
Excellent. We've got a motion and a second. Really appreciate everything Dylan's done for us over the last 4 or 5 years. Hard work and thoughtful.
Done a great
Person
job.
to have on that job. We're really pleased about it.
Yeah, he does good work. He was on my West Side
West Side
committee too.
group. Yeah.
Excellent guy.
Ran for commissioner. Yeah, he's always thoughtful. So anyway, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Congratulations to Dylan. When you watch this on YouTube later, thank you for all your hard work. We're excited to have you on the planning board. Alrighty, so that gets us to committee reports. Anything new in the Visitors Bureau world?
I have a meeting on Thursday.
You always have a meeting right
I
after
know.
the meeting. So there was
I
a
do.
meeting.
Although we did have the summit. I did.
The summit, yeah, there you go.
We had the summit a couple weeks ago, and that was great. Really well attended. Really good speakers. And they did some work on and presentations on the long range tourism plan, which is coming along nicely. I will say there was 106 applicants to be on a 20-person board or
Wow.
advisory committee for the long range tourism
Wow.
plan.
That's amazing.
So I think that really speaks to the work that the tourism board has done in educating people and also including people from the community in the tourism plan. So if you haven't seen Outer Banks Raw, which you might not have seen those unless you see it maybe posted on social media, because those ads are not running here. But if you haven't checked them out, they're the new advertising campaign, which they're doing to attract conscientious visitors. So there's one on fishing, one on surfing, and the idea is to attract people to the area who care about our resources and who are a little bit more cognizant of the resources that we
Aligned
have.
with our
So,
values for nature, et cetera.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I think the next one coming out is birding. So
You know, for folks that hadn't been keeping up with it, they're working on ways to offer people who come on vacation the opportunity to give back, to participate in philanthropies and voluntourism and all that, which I think is a great vision for the future of our destination. Really aligns with what we're all about. So give them big credit for doing that. Super. Any other committee reports?
I'll just take a moment to acknowledge Sue Kelly and everybody on the CAC for a very nice job with the Community Appearance Awards and all the good work the CAC does. So thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Pretty class act.
And,
Last second. You're about to get an upgrade. You're about to get an upgrade on your MC.
Sue makes being the board representative on the CAC is like it's a fun and easy appointment because Sue does such a good job with these committee reports at our board meetings. No one could do better. So thank you, Sue.
You're doing a great job. Appreciate it. And it makes a difference, really makes a difference. Meeting is Thursday for anybody who wants to jump in. Open to the public. Super.
No committee report.
No committee report.
Alrighty. Commissioner's agenda. Let's start with this.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow.
Yes, big day.
It's a big day. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I got my team ready.
You got the drone
Yeah,
team
I
ready?
think we officially have 5. We might have 6. 6
Well,
drones.
We're going to be escorting the wall that heals to the event center in Nags Head.
From Columbia,
From
right?
Columbia, from the Terrell Hall. And I tell you, the numbers are pretty impressive, what I'm hearing. Supposedly, half of them may show up, but if we get all of them, it's going to be phenomenal. I've got 400 motorcycles that have indicated they want to escort this in.
That's really cool.
We've got about 60 Jeeps. It's going to be a very big event.
How long of the line do you think that's going to stretch out to?
I have no clue.
You're supposed
Yeah,
to be the
it's gonna
expert
be-
on this stuff.
Well, I did a toy run one time that
Yeah.
stretched from the Hilton Garden Inn all the way to Collington Road.
How many
And
is
I
that?
think that was probably about 180 motorcycles. I think this is going to be a lot bigger.
Ooh, that was big.
We've got people coming from Tidewater area. It's a pretty moving situation, you know.
Yeah.
But I hope everybody gets a chance. It's going to be open 24 hours from the 16th to the 19th. And I hope everybody gets a chance to go see it. I'll be a little bit cold in the morning, but I'll be glad to do it.
It's going to be something else. Yeah, really excited about that. It's good to see a whole bunch of folks that I called no longer fly drones. But
Oh,
a whole
really?
bunch of new people showed up too. So
Well, good.
Where's the best place to watch it?
We're gonna leave Columbia at 1:45. We should come through the old Mans Harbor Bridge. We're gonna go through Mans Harbor and then come through Manio. We should probably hit the old Mans Harbor Bridge at about 2:45, 2:50, something like that. A lot of people are getting together on the causeway.
Just the way.
Yeah, and that
that's a
should,
place where you could park.
yeah, that should probably be close to 3:00, something to that effect.
Yeah.
We're hoping 3:15 we'll be at the event site and done.
Okay.
Drinking coffee,
Yeah.
lots of it.
And I imagine folks will be hanging out there for a while
Yeah,
after
Yeah.
3:15. It'll be kind of a social event at that point.
You watch
Okay.
them put it together, or can you? is
they
it
actually
basically-
they'll start putting it together and everything. Yeah, they pull out panels and
Wow.
hook it up. There's videos that you can see on the Dare County website that are very interesting.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be something. Cool.
Yep.
So I think
It
there's
will
a-
be.
There's a link. I think that they said they were going to post a link at 1:00 that will have like live tracking.
It will. Yeah.
So you'll be able to track it. So that's what we're all going to be watching. Are they here yet? Oh, my turn. I get the drone up here. So it should be exciting.
I know the kids are off, so you know,
Yeah.
get out.
You know, it's a big deal when the kids
Kids
in
are
school early for it. Yeah, it's a good deal.
It's going to be phenomenal.
Take a half day off of work.
That'd be cool.
Thank you for your drone work.
Appreciate it. Excited.
Nothing, Commissioner.
There.
report-wise. No.
Commissioner's
I
report.
just wanted to take time to thank the Board of Elections for,
Yes.
they do phenomenal work and they pull some really long hours. Sandy Markland was amazing and I just wanted to say thank you to them.
It takes a long time to count all those votes.
I'll second Ivy's comment. The whole team here did a really good job. They had a pretty quiet early voting and then had to make up for it double overtime election day and all the people from Collington who tried to come in, kind of gum the works up a little bit, but they handled it well, kept things moving, and thank you, Sandy, and everyone involved.
Yes, I think the folks that found out they can't vote will remember it.
Yeah.
I think they get confused because they can early vote here.
Yeah,
And then somebody says, well, I voted there. And so they,
easy mistake to make.
But you have some of them that'll just stand up and say, no, I get my mail in Kill Devil Hills, and that's where I'm from, is Kill Devil Hill.
oh, yeah.
That's right.
Is
That's
it?
right. It's
Yeah.
confusing.
They get confused with the post office.
That'll
It's the
do it.
mailing address.
It's true in so many towns. Stanton, Virginia's like that. Oh, you're not really in Stanton. You're in the county.
They ever talk about taking the mailing address and making it different city-wise? I mean, their mailing address is Kill Devil Hills. Has there ever been any talk about that? I'm just always curious because I think that's why they're like, well, there are people in Congress that believe that we represent them.
I know.
Yeah, we know.
Believe me, I know.
You get the phone
I know
calls
because
every day.
they think you manage them. Yes. But
I don't think so. I mean, like, I'll use an example where my family farm is
yeah,
not the address.
right,
It's not in that town.
right. So it's not
So it's
incorporated
not
town.
uncommon.
So it's not. Yeah, it's not gonna say Collington.
Right.
Town. of
Collington's
Collington.
not a place.
Not a-
Kitty
not a-
Hawk and Southern Shores have the same zip code too.
Oh, the same zip code, but
Too.
it's not the same city. That's the
But
city.
you,
You know what I'm
but I
saying?
mean, either
Anyway.
one goes to the same post office.
Right.
Yeah, I know they have the same zip codes.
Yeah.
Orange
That's not the
Point
problem.
side of that too, so.
That's not the
confusing.
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a solution. Nobody's figured it out yet. But
No.
Well, I
changing
think
it.
it's
It's
just being a
I think
little
it's
bit more in the know of where you live and who your elected officials are.
Yeah.
The job is never finished on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they for those who weren't aware, there was a line almost the end of the sidewalk from 11 to like 7.
Yeah.
It was pretty solid all day. It expanded, contracted. Yeah, almost to the curb a couple times. Yeah, they did a good job. It's a tough job. Well, thank you for that. That's all the commissioner's agenda. Mayor's agenda. I don't have much of an agenda anymore. So I will leave it at that. Town manager's agenda.
No, sir. Not this
And,
evening. Thank you.
Town attorney, of course, not here. Let's.
And he did not
Do you
have
have anything?
anything.
We'll talk about the consent agenda then.
Yes, sir. Minutes from the October 9th, 2023 meeting, September 2023 monthly report, budget amendments as outlined in my memo 3, 4, 5, and 6. Scheduling a public hearing, historical landmark designation, 500 West Avalon Drive, the Sharp Cottage. Request that the board set a public hearing for Monday, December the 11th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Approval of the consent agenda will schedule this public hearing. And lastly, recommendations for the acceptance of street improvements to East Corrigan Street and the adoption of the official traffic map and POW bill map for the town of Kill Devil Hills to reflect the improvements. Approval of the consent agenda will adopt the attached resolutions which accept the street, revise the official traffic map, and as well as the POW bill map. Staff recommends approval of the consent agenda as presented, and a motion would be in order.
So moved with one question.
Yes, sir.
Number 4,
Yes, sir.
to appropriate funds for the water system development in connection to the new firehouse.
Yes, sir.
Now, is that a shared cost?
This is our cost. Dare County's paid their cost for the EMS.
Okay, that answers my question, that they
Yes.
stepped up to the plate.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
We're just doing, just to keep our two funds
Okay.
Nice and clean. Keep it clean.
nice and clean.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Gray
I'll second.
and a second from Commissioner Ingram. Any further discussion about the consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. We have a consent agenda.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
We have one more option for public comment. See some familiar faces out there. Anybody holding back something they wanted to say for the end of the meeting? Seeing nobody move, I'll call going once, going twice. We will close public comment. Oh, we mentioned that too. That's a good idea. Should have mentioned under mayor's agenda that First Flight Market at Aviation Park. We got a few of them coming up Saturday, November 18th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then Tuesday, the 12th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. weekday. And then one more Saturday, December 16th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can find all this stuff on our social media. Tell all your friends. Make sure all of our artists and artisans have a great holiday season and everybody has cool things with their holidays. And I guess I could have said something, Mayor, at the mayor's agenda, which generally I've got basically going to hand off the gavel next meeting. But I know that you all will continue all the good work that we've been doing and follow up with all the things we haven't finished. Improve our beach accesses, keep the bypass looking nice, work towards getting some access to the sound, et cetera, et cetera.
They were out doing the gutter and cleaning. I saw them just here today, yesterday. I saw them. So they were doing another sweep. Looked pretty good.
Yeah, they're pro. Yeah, I noticed, I don't know, maybe people don't notice, but I think it really makes the whole town look better. And it's the little things. It's the little
Looks
things.
nice.
Been talking about that for 10 years, so that made me very happy to see that happen this year. Glad we got that in the budget and hope we keep going in that direction. So,
I know I speak for everybody that we're thankful for all your hard work and all your work for
thank
the
you,
last
sir.
4 years that I've been
Appreciate
here. So we appreciate that.
It's been a pleasure working with you, and we'll have one more day to say all our real goodbyes. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, you guys. Thanks for everything. So we will call it a night. All right,
I'll
make
make
the
the motion to
motion.
adjourn.
She made the motion,
Second.
and we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're adjourned. Okay.